What if the real enemy was never the infected? What if the most dangerous thing in this broken world wasn't hiding outside the walls, but inside the human heart? At first glance, The Last of Us. Season 2 looks like another survival story. A world filled with infected creatures, ruined cities, and desperate survivors fighting to stay alive. But as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that this season is about something much deeper. This is not a story about monsters. This is a story about grief. This is a story about revenge. And this is a story about the consequences of choices that can never be taken back. In a world where civilization has collapsed, people try to rebuild their lives piece by piece. Communities grow, friendships form, and families find moments of happiness. For a brief time, it almost feels as if the darkness is finally fading away. But the past never stays buried. Old wounds continue to bleed beneath the surface. Pain continues to shape the future. And every character carries scars that refuse to heal. One of the strongest themes throughout Season 2 is the idea that every action creates consequences. A single decision made years ago can continue affecting lives long after the moment has passed. Sometimes we believe we are doing the right thing. Sometimes we believe we are protecting the people we love. But what happens when that decision destroys someone else's world? The season constantly forces us to confront this question. There are no perfect heroes. There are no pure villains. There are only people trying to survive while carrying unbearable pain. Every character believes their actions are justified. Every character believes their suffering matters. And because of that, every conflict feels tragic rather than simple. This is what makes the story so powerful. The audience is never given easy answers. Instead, we are forced to look at every side of the conflict and decide for ourselves what is right and what is wrong. As the season progresses, grief becomes the driving force behind almost everything. Not ordinary grief, not the kind that disappears after a few weeks. This is the kind of grief that stays with a person for years, the kind that changes the way they see the world, the kind that follows them everywhere they go. Some people learn to live with it, others become trapped by it, and some allow it to consume their entire identity. Throughout the story, we watch characters struggle to move forward while constantly being pulled back by memories of the past. No matter how far they travel, no matter how much time passes, the pain remains, and eventually they are forced to confront it. Another major theme explored in the season is revenge. At first, revenge feels understandable. When someone loses everything, anger feels natural. The desire for justice feels reasonable. The need to make someone pay feels almost impossible to resist. But Season 2 asks an important question. Does revenge actually heal anything, or does it simply create more suffering? As events unfold, we begin to see how revenge slowly transforms people. It becomes an obsession, a purpose, a reason to wake up every morning. But the more someone chases revenge, the more they lose pieces of themselves along the way. Instead of finding peace, they find emptiness. Instead of finding closure, they discover even more pain. The story repeatedly reminds us that violence creates more violence, hatred creates more hatred, and revenge creates another cycle that never truly ends. What makes The Last of Us different from many other survival stories is its focus on human relationships. The infected may be terrifying, the world may be dangerous, but the emotional heart of the story comes from the people. The friendships, the family bonds, the trust that forms between survivors. These relationships become the reason people continue fighting. They become the reason people continue hoping. And they become the reason people continue living. Yet those same relationships are incredibly fragile. A lie can damage them. A secret can destroy them. A painful truth can change them forever. Throughout the season, we watch characters struggle to hold on to the people they care about while everything around them falls apart. And that emotional struggle becomes far more powerful than any battle against the infected. By the time the story reaches its conclusion, the message becomes clear. The real conflict was never about defeating monsters. The real conflict was about breaking cycles. Cycles of anger, cycles of violence, cycles of revenge. For years, the characters have been trapped inside those cycles, believing they had no choice but to continue them, believing that pain could only be answered with more pain. But the ending challenges that idea. It asks whether people can choose another path, a path built on understanding instead of hatred, a path built on healing instead of revenge, a path built on hope instead of destruction. And that is what makes the ending so memorable, because it is not asking who won. It is not asking who was right. It is asking something far more important. Can people remain human after experiencing unimaginable loss? Can they hold on to compassion when the world gives them every reason to become cruel? Can they find a reason to keep moving forward when everything they love has been taken away? Those are the questions that stay with viewers long after the credits roll. In the end, The Last of Us. Season 2 is not really about the end of the world. It is about what remains after the world has already ended. It is about loss. It is about forgiveness. It is about survival. And most importantly, it is about the difficult choice between continuing the cycle of pain or finally finding the strength to break it. Because sometimes the greatest victory is not defeating an enemy. Sometimes the greatest victory is refusing to become one.